What is up, guys? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my Draftkings MMA picks for UFC Louisville. We have Nasruddin Imavov going against Jared Cannonier. We have a 14-fight slate. That means 28 fighters. And yeah, looking forward to this card. Draftkings perspective, a lot sticking out. I think we have some very live dogs. Lineups seem to be very easy to make this week with so many options. So hopefully all these fights stay on, but we're going to talk about it. Before we get into it, if you guys could, like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out dfsbythenumbers.com. That's where you'll find all my other content from a DraftKings perspective, betting perspective. I do a lot of prize picks on there as well. Check it out. And then speaking of prize picks, this video is brought to you by Prize Picks. Use promo code DFSBTN and you will get a 100% deposit match up to $100. With all that out of the way, I say we get into the video. Lots to talk about. We'll start with these fight doesn't go to decision lines. We got some big ones here. The first one is Julian Marquez going against Zach Reese. And I think somebody is going to get served here. There's a couple fighters on this card where not only have they not been the distance, but they haven't been to the second round, and Zachary Reese is one of those guys. He's never been to the second round as a professional, and I'm not even sure that changes here. I think this fight's just going to be an absolute banger from the get-go. I do lean towards the Marquez side, but definitely a fight you're going to want to target, and a fight that I not only see finishing inside the distance, but finishing probably in the first round, round and a half. Next, we have another fighter, Bruno Ferreira, going against Dustin Stoltzfus. Bruno Ferreira, in 12 professional fights, has not been over 1.5 rounds. He hasn't been 7.5 minutes. He's been 6 minutes, but that's the longest he's went. When he's winning fights, it is typically in that very first round. I see this being Bruno Ferreira early, Dustin Stoltzfus late or by decision. I think Bruno Ferreira has a good chance to knock out Dustin Stoltzfus early, but if Dustin Stoltzfus can survive that early storm, he's certainly a live dog and very cheap live dog down the stretch. Next, we have an absolute banger as well, a fight that I think should be targeted. Miguel Baeza, Punahele Soriano. This is a fight where I don't trust either of these guys. Like, from a betting perspective, I would not even think about touching this fight. But from a DraftKings perspective, that's, completely different. I want to be heavy on this fight because although both these guys are very untrustworthy, I think the winner scores well here. There's question marks and red flags with both guys. Miguel Baeza, 2.5-year layoff, coming off of a knockout loss to Andre Fiallo on a 3-fight skid. Punahele Soriano coming down to welterweight for the first time in his career, coming off a loss to Dustin Stoltzfus. There's a lot I don't like about either of these guys, but somebody's got to win, and I think whoever wins violently. So very good fight to target. And then personally, one of my favorite fights of the card, it is Prochas going against Raki, a fight that I do think does finish inside the distance, a fight that I think somebody is absolutely getting served. We have Prochas 9,200, Raki 7,000. And yeah, Prochas has a ton of power, and as does Raki, and then Raki also, I think, could potentially mix in takedowns here as well. So all four of these fights are 4 fights that I'm going to be very heavily exposed to, and really both sides. I don't see any of these 8 fighters that I don't see myself getting to. I guess my least favorite would be like a Stoltzfus, but even then, he's very cheap and probably worth some sprinkles. So love these 4 fights and going to be targeting them and putting a big emphasis on these 4 here. Let's get into our core plays. Let's talk about somebody who was supposed to fight UFC Mexico City. I was all over him. I loved him in that matchup against Ricky Turcios, and everything was going great, that card. And then all of a sudden, 10 to 15 minutes before the fight was supposed to start, we get news that Raul Rosas Jr. pulls out, and then 50 to 60% of my lineups are dead. So Raul Rosas Jr., you better not do that again. And if he does fight, I think he puts up a big score. I think it's a great matchup for him. He's going against Ricky Turcios, who can't stuff a takedown. Ricky Turcios has a 45% takedown defense. Raul Rosas Jr. should have no problem getting takedowns, getting control. And this is one of those fights where I could see Raul Rosas getting 10 takedowns. And I'm not even kidding, because Ricky Turcios has no takedown defense, but what he does have is a very good get-up game. So I like Raul Rosas Jr. I like the takedown upside, and I think he could put up a big score across 15. Maybe gets a first-round sub as well, but either way, I like him a lot. Julian Marquez, 8,300, was in one of the 4 fights we should be targeting this week. One of the 4 fights I think do finish inside the distance, and yeah, this is one. I'm just not sold on Zach Reese. I'm really not. Zach Reese has not fought the best competition. He's not the best striker. You look at his wins, like a lot of his wins are submissions off his back, like on the Contender Series. And yeah, I'm just not sure how he beats Julian Marquez outside of, Julian Marquez's chin being complete dust, which I'm not completely ready to say that. I think Marquez is the better fighter. He's fought the much better competition. I think he has more ways to win, and he's pretty cheap in my opinion. 8,300. Money's been pouring in on Marquez all week. I think he's like now a minus 150 favorite, so getting some value here at this price tag. And I think not only Marquez can win this fight, but I think he can finish this fight dominantly within the first round and a half. Next, we got Miguel Baeza, 8,700. Sketchy fight, a fight that I'm going to be very heavily exposed to. I do lean the Baeza side here at 8,700 though. Baeza, I think he is the better fighter. I think he has a lot more ways to win. If this fight reaches the second round, Miguel Baeza's chances of winning skyrocket. I think Punahele Soriano is first round or bust. So, yeah, as long as Baeza does not get knocked out in the first, which, hey, it could certainly happen, I think Baeza can mix in takedowns. I think Baeza is going to be the minute winner in this matchup. And like I said, if this fight reaches the second, I think Puna's done, like he is in most of his fights. And then Rayon Dos Santos, a.k.a. Rayon Amanda, 9,100. She's going to be kicking off the card going against Puja Tamar. And this is a sneaky one. I typically like targeting the first fight of the night. And I feel like Rayon Dos Santos could go a little bit overlooked here and could be potentially low-owned as well. And I think she has some upside. I think the path to victory for Rayon Dos Santos is going to be the grappling. On the feet, I think it's going to be competitive. Both fighters throw with very bad intentions, but I think on the mat, it is one-way traffic. Rayon Dos Santos is a black belt in BJJ, and we've seen Tamar just look like a fish out of water on her back. You know, she's been finished 4 times, Tamar, all 4 inside the distance, all 4, I think, on the ground. A couple submission losses, a couple TKO losses in there as well. So if Dos Santos is able to get the takedowns, get on top, I think she makes it look quite easy, and like I said, hopefully low-ish ownership. Next, we got our GPP plays here. We got Bruno Ferreira, 9,400. Yeah, his path to victory is a first-round knockout. If this fight reaches the second round, I think his chances completely plummet. So 9,400, it's expensive, but his path is that first-round knockout, maybe a knockdown or two, and that's personally what I'm picking to happen. So for that reason, I don't mind some Bruno Ferreira. Eduardo Mara, 8,800. This is a fight as a whole that I think is a very good one to target. Eduardo Mara has looked like a complete beast thus far in the UFC. She's very physically strong. She's big for the division. And if she gets on top of you, she's a problem. Her ground and pound is vicious. We saw that in the last fight. She has a submission game as well. And she's somebody who can absolutely go out there and put up a massive score in a win. Carlos Prates, 9,200. One of the fights I do want to target very heavily. I think these two are going to throw down. I think somebody's getting knocked out here in this matchup. Prates, a little bit underwhelming in his debut against Officer Trevin Giles, but in this matchup, I think he's going to be live to potentially land a big shot at some point in this fight. I think Raki is going to want to get on the inside here, which is probably going to open up knockout opportunities for both guys. I think these guys are going to stand and trade until one man gets knocked out. I don't mind some Prates. And then Dustin Jacoby, 9,000. This is just if, Dominic Reyes is completely done, if he's completely shot. If Dominic Reyes is completely done and shot and a bum now, Dustin Jacoby at 9K could look like a steal. Maybe Dustin Jacoby could knock him out in the first 60 seconds, right? But if Dominic Reyes is not a washed bum, if Dominic Reyes still has some left in the tank, I think Dustin Jacoby's probably a terrible play. So it's hard to tell. Like Dominic Reyes, he's on, I think, a 4-fight skid. He's coming off of a very long layoff. I think he's dealing with like some health issues or something. But if Dominic Reyes is on his way out, Dustin Jacoby can knock him out in the first round. So it's one that I'm not going to go crazy on, but I will have some exposure just in case Dominic Reyes is really done. Live dogs here, there are quite a few of them. We got Jared Cannonier, 7,600. I think there's some value here, first and foremost, from the money line. Jared Cannonier's plus 100 now, and he's a 7,600 underdog. I like that. He has 25 minutes to work with. I like that. He has great volume and durability and cardio. I like that. I like Jared Cannonier as a live dog. I'm actually picking him outright to win. I like him in cash games. I think even in a loss, this goes 25, and he could put up a big score as well in a loss. But in a win, he has 25-minute upside as well, a lot of volume upside, and has some sneaky powers to go with it. So I like Jared Cannonier, probably my favorite dog on the card. Thiago Moises, 7,800. Yeah, probably another fight that should be targeted because it's a striker versus grappler matchup. Ludovic Klein's going to have that striking advantage, and Thiago Moises is going to be the grappler in this matchup. From a DraftKings perspective, I would lean towards the Moises side for a couple reasons. Moises is going to be 600 cheaper, which I like. Moises is going to be the grappler in the matchup, which I think could potentially score very well, which I like. Ludovic Klein's been subbed twice, which I like. So yeah, Thiago Moises, I think there are some reasons to like him and pick him as a live dog. Puna Soriano, 7,500. Puna Soriano, his win condition is a first-round finish and nothing else. I think if this fight reaches the second round, he's done. That has been the case in the majority of his fights. I think he's won maybe one fight, or two fights, that's went out of the second round, or went out of the first round. One was against Stalcha, where he finished him in the first 60 seconds of the second round, and then one was against Jamie Pickett on the Contender Series. But yeah, primarily, I think if Soriano's winning, he's winning in round one, and for that reason, I want to have some exposure. Dominic Reyes, 7,200. Like I said, if Dominic Reyes shows up and it's the Dominic Reyes of old, or anywhere near the Dominic Reyes of old, the Dominic Reyes that fought John Jones, the Dominic Reyes that even fought Yuri, if that Dominic Reyes shows up, I think he's very, very live to win this fight. If that Dominic Reyes shows up, these price tags don't make sense. So, but, if Dominic Reyes shows up that's completely washed, completely done, if that guy shows up, maybe he does get knocked out in the first round. So it's hard to tell where Dominic Reyes is. He's taken some time off. I think he's at a new gym. He's only 34, so for that reason, I'll have some Dominic Reyes, but it's hard to be confident in the guy at this point of his career. It's not been good as of late. Next, we have the Prize Picks Play of the Week. It is going to be Carlos Prates, less than 9.75 minutes fight time. I like violence here in this Racky fight. I think somebody's getting served. I think both guys are live to land a big shot. I think both guys are live for a submission as well. Racky is a black belt in BJJ. Carlos Prates, throws up submissions as well. So yeah, I think somebody's getting served here. I don't think this fight sees that third round. If you guys want to check it out, use promo code DFSBTN, and you'll get a 100% deposit match up to $100. Moving on, pump plays. Charles Racky. Speaking of Charles Racky, 7,000. Yeah, people keep counting out Charles Racky. Everybody thought he sucked after the Blood Diamond fight, and he was a pretty big dog against Gilbert Urbina. He knocked him out. And I'm not saying I'm extremely confident in Racky, but he does have some paths to victory here. The first path would be knocking out Prates, who's been knocked out twice before. Prates has a 37% striking defense thus far, and Racky has power. Racky could potentially knock out Prates. Prates, his ground game hasn't been tested in a while, but he's been submitted 3 times. His very last loss, he was getting taken down. He was getting controlled. Haven't seen it in a while, but maybe Racky can go out there and get this fight down to the mat. Could be another path. But yeah, there's a fight I want to be very heavily exposed to. I think somebody's getting served, and Charles Racky down low at 7K will have some ownership for me. And then Dustin Stoltzfus, 6,800. Only reason I put Dustin here is because I feel like this could look like the Puna Soriano fight if Bruno Ferreira is not able to knock him out. Soriano, a lot of people expected him to knock out Stoltzfus in the first round. He wasn't able to do it. And then after that, Stoltzfus took over, and Stoltzfus finished him in the late second round. And maybe that happens here because we've never seen Ferreira in the, over 1.5 rounds. What happens if this fight does go over 1.5 rounds? What happens if it gets to the late second, the third round? It probably favors Dustin Stoltzfus. So I personally think that Ferreira knocks him out in the first round, but if Dustin is able to survive those first 5 minutes, his chances of winning, they increase a lot. He's only 6,800, so I don't mind some Dustin Stoltzfus there. And then the fades, usually give 1, but we have a 14-fight slate, so I'll give 2, because these are 2 guys I'm just not even thinking about playing. Brackatona at 9,600 is hilarious. I mean, I think he wins. I think he's a very safe pick to win, but 0 finishing upside. Maybe he finishes Butler, but I even doubt that. Doesn't really throw a ton of volume outside of the Gibson fight. Probably a lot of cage pushing here, maybe some takedowns. I think Brackatona wins, but probably scores 80 to 90 at best. So no way I'm getting to Brackatona at 9,600. That's crazy. And then Taylor Lapilus, 8,900. Yeah, not much finishing upside for Lapilus. A decisionator just like Katona. 0 grappling upside. He's not taking down Stamen. So yeah, I think a win for Lapilus is stuffing takedowns, which you don't get points for on DraftKings. Keeping it standing and picking apart Stamen for 15 minutes. Landing anywhere from probably 75 to maybe 100 significant strikes. At 8,900, I don't think he pays off his price tag this week. So happy to fade both of these guys here. There you guys have it. Thank you for watching. If you guys could, like on your way out, subscribe on your way out, check out dfsbythenumbers.com. You'll find all my other content for the week, and then also check out Prize Picks, promo code DFSBTN. Best of luck, guys, for UFC Louisville, and we'll talk to you soon. See you later.